Good afternoon and welcome to today's press conference. My name is Dusty Young, Associate Director with the New Mexico Activities Association. On behalf of our Executive Director, Sally Marquez, and the rest of our staff, I'd first like to thank everyone for their attendance. Today is an exciting day for the Activities Association, as we are proud to announce two individuals that were selected to represent the NMAA Hall of Fame's class of 2017. The NMAA Hall of Fame was established in 1976, and it comprised of 100 accomplished individuals who have given back to the state through various interscholastic athletic and activity programs. In order to be considered, individuals must show great compassion for the kids of New Mexico. They must also support the NMAA's philosophy and objectives while being extremely involved in formulating various procedures and policies for interscholastic education programs. They also must have a minimum of 25 years of service, 20 of which must have been in New Mexico. Once that process, or once nominations are in, a selection committee then reviews each of those nominations and screens to select the most deserving individuals into this prestigious group. In 2017, the committee met in October, and they felt that two more individuals were deserving of this special thing. At this time, I would like to ask that each of our inductees come to the podium, and they will briefly address the audience, and at the end, they will solicit questions from each of you, and will also be made available with individual interviews at the conclusion of the press conference. I would like to begin by announcing the first inductee of the class of 2017, the NMAA Hall of Fame's 101st member, Mr. Bruce Carver. Bruce was a standout athlete for the Eunice Cardinals before moving on to play collegiate basketball for Lubbock Christian University. He earned his bachelor's from Lubbock Christian and then went on to obtain his master's degree from West Texas A&M. After spending 13 years as a teacher and coach in various schools across New Mexico and Texas, he then began his career in administration as the athletic director for Hobbs High School. After 13 more successful years at Hobbs, he then began to serve as the district athletic director for Rio Rancho Public Schools, a position he has held for the last 9 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bruce Carver.
Thank you, Dusty. I am honored and humbled to be introduced into the NMAA Hall of Fame. It's not something that you ever plan on or expect. I do want to congratulate Leela Gore from Clovis, New Mexico. We're going to forgive her from the fact that she is from Clovis for making the Hall of Fame. Isn't it unique that someone from Hobbs and someone from Clovis are going into the Hall of Fame and at the same time? That's pretty neat. As I look at these pictures on the wall, which I have looked at many times down through the years, and I see many people I work closely with, and that makes it even more significant for me to have my picture up on the wall with these folks these men and women who gave a lifetime coaching and directing student athletes across our state is really close to my heart. I really feel like I had three different careers. One as a coach, and then the 13 years at Hobbs, as Dusty said, when I went into administration, athletic administration, and then the 9 years I've been at Rio Rancho. Of course, it's really not three careers, it's just one. The common denominator through all of it really has been the relationships that have been built in that time. And then the competition stands out. It was always exciting and fresh and new. And that's what's neat about being in athletics as a coach or an athletic director. You always have that next game. Some great memories of huge wins and tough losses. That's the nature of high school athletics. And you know, the thing is, there's a lot of ups and downs in that part of it, but different challenges at each school. Even though athletics are just games and sports are just games, it never ceases to amaze me the impact that sports have and athletics have on people in general, especially young people. And I think the character that athletics builds is really the foundation that I've tried to build my career upon as both a coach and an athletic administrator, without a doubt. I do take tremendous pride in being a former Hobbs Eagle, in being a Rio Rancho Ram, and being a Cleveland Storm. To just be a small part of those schools' history is special to me, and something that I'm always going to remember. I talked to Chris Kedge about the ring for the Hall of Honor, and he asked me about it, and I said, you know, I'd love to have all three logos on that ring. That may be difficult to do, but I'd love to look at that ring. Every time I look at it, a flood of memories would come back to me. I'm lucky and blessed to have had a tremendous family. My mom and dad were blue-collar people who encouraged me to go to college. Neither one of them went to college, and I wish they were here today to share in this. Sherry, my wife of 34 years, has been there with me every step of the way. She's the glue in our family. She's encouraged me and given me a swift kick in the pants at times to get me over the hump. And Sherry is a talented administrator in her own right. She's the principal at Rio Rancho High School now. And my son Heath, who is a proposal manager for HB Construction. My daughter Danielle is a third grade teacher in Rio Rancho Public Schools. They're both former Hobbs Eagles. My son played basketball. My daughter was a cheerleader and cross-country track athlete. I know I've rambled a little bit. I think back to a 16-year-old skinny kid from Eunice, New Mexico, whose dream was to get a college basketball scholarship at 16. And fast forward to today, to this 58-year-old, gray-headed, not-so-skinny man. Anyway, this is the pinnacle of my career, this award, and I'm extremely, extremely honored. I want to thank the committee. I want to thank the NMAA. And last, I want to thank all the wonderful people that I have worked with who have encouraged me, supported me throughout my life, really. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Bruce before we bring up our next inductee? And again, if you don't have any now, we can definitely arrange for that after the conclusion of the press conference. Thank you, Bruce. Now I'd like to bring to the podium the NMAA Hall of Fame's Class of 2017 second inductee and 102nd overall inductee, Miss Leela Gore. Leela graduated from Burnett High School before earning her bachelor's degree from Southwest Texas State University and her master's degree from Texas Tech University. After spending 1 year in education in Texas, she then began her service to the kids of New Mexico as a teacher and FCCLA sponsor within Clovis Municipal Schools. She held these positions for 22 years before moving on to higher education as an instructor at Eastern New Mexico University. During her 16 years at Eastern New Mexico, she continued her involvement with interscholastic activities as the FCCLA administrator for the state. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Leela Gore.
And I'm just like Bruce, it's wow, this is such an honor, and I do thank the NMAA and the committee for giving me this honor, and I will do everything I can to be deserving of it. My time in New Mexico was wonderful. I did grow up in Burnett, Texas, which is in the middle of the hill country. I did play sports in high school. In fact, the first time my dad, that was back when basketball was 3 on each end, you didn't cross over. And the first time my dad came to see me play, I fouled out in 1 quarter. He said, I thought this was supposed to be basketball and not football. So needless to say, I did not go on in basketball, but I fell in love with teaching when I did my student teaching, and so that really began my career as far as education is concerned. However, I was real young and I didn't want to go to work right after graduating from San Marcos, and so I went to Tech to get my master's, and got my master's and met my husband and moved to New Mexico. He was a farmer in Clovis, and so all of my professional life has been here in New Mexico. I did teach in Clovis at all three of the junior highs, and then I taught in night school at Clovis High School before being very honored to receive the job as the FCCLA State Advisor for New Mexico. That way I got to work with the kids at the state level, work with the officers, plan all of the meetings, from district to regional to state meetings, and then to our national meeting in the summer. And all of the competitions that we had every year. And then I also got to work with the teachers statewide, because I had been in the job about 2 or 3 years, and they said, well, we want you to take on the professional development for the teachers that I worked with, the family and consumer sciences. Y'all are probably more familiar with home economics. That's what I got my degree in. But times change, and the organization used to be called Future Homemakers of America. Now it is the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. So times change, and we have to change with them. But my time in New Mexico and working with the people here is wonderful. I told somebody a while ago, no, I don't miss the wind, because we sent a lot of dirt to Texas from Clovis. But I do miss the people. My friendships here in New Mexico will last me forever. And in fact, I was able to connect with one of our former state presidents last night, who is now an attorney here in Albuquerque. His office is in the Hyatt Hotel. So he took me for a tour of the offices, and then we went out to eat and visited for a while. But being able to reconnect with some of the students that I worked with, because teaching was my life, and I just really loved working with the kids. And in looking at the pictures over there, I saw Roscoe Vaughn. He was the FFA state advisor, and he and I worked together for several years before he retired and moved on, and then I retired. But this, to me, is the pinnacle of everything that I've done, and I just really appreciate the honor and look forward to representing the NMAA in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Leela. Any questions for her? Okay, before we move on to the individual interview portion of the press conference, I would like to remind everyone that the official induction ceremony for the class of 2017 will take place during the U.S. Bank State Basketball Championships. The induction ceremony and luncheon will be held at the Albuquerque Marriott Pyramid Hotel on Thursday, March 9th at 12 noon. That evening, we will hold the official ring ceremony for each inductee during the 6:30 p.m. boys semifinal matchup at Wise Pies Arena.